Hello! Welcome back. My name is Juan. Do you like mysteries? Always looking for the missing link in a case? Well, how's this for a missing link? In the last lesson, we covered the branches of government in the states, but we left one out. Do you know which one it was? Find your magnifying glass. Today, we are studying state judicial systems. Before we get started, we need to issue a disclaimer. In this lesson, we use terms like magistrate and district court, as these tend to represent general structures and positions common to many courthouses around the nation, but might not be used in your state. The specific details vary from state to state. Once you finish the video, be sure to check out the PDF to find an activity that will help you explore your state's court system. At the end of today's lesson, you will analyze the state judicial branches in terms of the structure of its court systems and explain the selection of its judges. Let's get started. To begin, most state systems mirror the federal courts in that they have tiered systems with a Supreme Court or a Court of Final Appeal at the top. As you go down the chain from the top, lower courts are further divided into superior, inferior, juvenile, and family courts. Now, state courts hear close to 97% of all cases filed in the U.S. They're very important. Approximately 30 million cases are heard every year. The average citizen's interaction with the legal system is almost exclusively at the state level. That being said, the Bill of Rights sets a national standard or process for the state courts and police to follow. Take a look at the top level of this chart. Again, the highest court in most states, just like at the federal level, is the Supreme Court. These courts do not look at the determination of fact, nor do they determine guilt or innocence. Instead, these courts look at procedural and constitutional questions, as well as judicial interpretations from lower courts. They have appellate jurisdiction and are in charge of looking at state constitutional questions. State Supreme Courts generally have one Chief Justice who accompanies 6 Associate Justices. Next is the Court of Appeals. Most states have a Court of Appeals as an intermediate court that, like the Supreme Court, has appellate jurisdiction. This court looks at procedure to make sure that a person's rights have been upheld. This court is typically in the state's capital, and it is typically filled with a number of judges who hear cases in panels of 3. Fun fact, there are no juries at the Court of Appeals, just judges. Good thing they're working for you. Now, for the lower courts. The lower courts, or trial courts, have different names in different states, but they serve the same function. They are usually called either district, superior, or circuit court depending on the state. For this lesson, we will refer to them as district courts. These courts determine facts and determine guilt or innocence. These lower courts are split into multiple courts called superior and inferior. The lower courts are usually located in each county seat. Word alert! A county seat is the city or town in which a county's governmental and administrative offices are located. Now, one district judge typically resides and manages administrative efforts at the head of the county superior court. Magistrate judges from the inferior courts assist the district judge. Word alert! A magistrate is a civil officer or lay judge who administers the law, especially one who conducts a court that deals with minor offenses and holds preliminary hearings for more serious ones. Not every state uses a magistrate system. Be sure to use the PDF to find the exact way your state works. Up top, we have the superior courts. Typically, these superior courts only have 2 sessions in each county a year, but again, this may vary from state to state. These courts determine facts, hear evidence, and determine accountability, but these guys deal with the bigger cases. For criminal cases, they deal with the felonies. Felonies can bring prison sentences over a year and high fines. For civil cases, they deal with cases that have disputes for $25,000 or over, and always have a jury. The district judge typically overhears cases brought to the superior court. Below superior courts are inferior courts, which are under the management of a district judge. They also deal with criminal cases. These are usually misdemeanors or minor offenses that require sentences less than a year and usually incur relatively small fines. Beyond that, they deal with traffic violations, for which there is usually no jury necessary. And they also deal with civil cases, which typically are over cases that are $25,000 or less. Interestingly enough, the Seventh Amendment says that any case that involves more than $20 guarantees the right to a jury trial. In effect, today, that means all civil trials can have a jury. A magistrate judge typically overhears cases brought to inferior courts. Finally, we have family court and juvenile court. Family courts deal with domestic issues, divorce, and child custody. Family courts are made up of judges only. Juvenile courts hold hearings that involve minors accused of crimes. And since these courts deal with youngsters, they are close to the public, the records are sealed, and there is never a jury. Draw a triangle like the one that appeared throughout this section. Use it to do the following. Label each section of the triangle with the appropriate court level. In each section, jot down the key information: jurisdiction, purpose, number of judges. The selection process for these courts varies from state to state. Some court officials are elected, while others are appointed. Some states have mixed systems in which judges are selected by the governor and confirmed by the legislator. In other states, governors appoint without confirmation. And just to make it more confusing, some states have their legislators select judges. Finally, other states have only the people elect judges. Some of these elections are partisan, meaning the judge is affiliated with a particular party. Others only allow non-partisan elections for judicial races. Whew! You got all that? Don't be afraid to rewatch this. Time to show what you know. In a notebook, please explain the different ways states select judges. Let's recap. State courts hear and try 97% of cases in America. The structure reflects the federal courts. However, the lower courts are divided based on the type of case and degree of the crime or suit in question. Judges are selected differently, but most are elected at the state level in either partisan or non-partisan races. In our next lesson, we will analyze the legal process for criminal and civil cases. But not today. We're all done for the day. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember, vote, debate, and participate.